Hello everybody, it's Gary Hallican here with another deep clearance review. So this time we're looking at the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Superboy-Prime figure. So we're going to get into some punching the walls of reality kind of action here with this figure, except that he doesn't look like he comes with fist hands, so that could be a problem. But as you can see here, I got this figure on very deep clearance. My local Walmart had a lot of figures on very deep clearance, and I got a lot of good stuff. If you watch my videos, you might see a few of those things in the coming days here. So again, this is the Superboy-Prime figure. Your box is your regular McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse stuff. This is the version from Infinite Crisis, it appears. There isn't really much to these boxes. I'll show you some other figures that are available. Picture of the figure in a pose. That's about it. So not really much to the boxes on these. So we will get him out here and see what we think. Okay, so here is Superboy-Prime out of the package, and he's a pretty good looking figure, I think. Even if you didn't know anything about Superboy-Prime, you could just chalk this up to being a cool looking alternate version of Superman, and it would work just fine as that. There probably could be more detail on the silver parts, make some things stand out. There are a lot of rivets and some things like that on the silver parts. But otherwise, he looks pretty neat. I like the kind of, very comic booky primary colors there. His cape is a real soft, rubbery material. So it is in this fixed pose, and it looks like we got a little bit of flashing there on it. But it is in this fixed pose, but it's very, very soft and rubbery, so you can kind of move it around some. The head sculpt is, looks kind of mean there, which is good for Superboy-Prime, but it's otherwise good and painted well, and the hair looks pretty good. There's no shading on the hair, doesn't seem like. It's just plain black, and that's what you see with basically this whole figure. There isn't any, shading or washes or anything on it. It's very just bold primary colors. Head sculpt, though, it doesn't have to look like any particular actor, so that's good and can get away with a lot there. But otherwise, he looks pretty neat. I think, like I said, looks like a good alternate version of Superman. These hoses here are soft material. I don't think they'll get in the way of anything. So speaking of that, let's look at articulation on him. So he can't really look up at all, which isn't too great for flying poses and anything. He could look down that far, so look down pretty good. Turn the head side to side, but his collar is going to get in the way some of that. Tilt the head side to side a little bit there, so actually pretty good on the tilt. So for the shoulders, these pieces are attached to the chest piece and they don't move, so I think that's going to hinder the shoulders. Actually, not really too much. Arms can go straight out there, so the shoulder pads don't really hinder that motion. They're going to prevent arms from going all the way around, of course. It looks like he's got bicep swivel, so it's underneath the shoulder pad here, but he does have swivel. You can't swivel all the way around because of this hose here. He has very good double elbow, so you can see that. Really great double elbow joint, and looks like ball joints at the wrist here, so, and a hinge. So hinge there, and can swivel back and forth that way. Alright, he's got a joint at the chest here, which is hidden pretty well by these hoses, so it doesn't really break up the design at all. So he can tilt back that far, and even farther with the waist joint. So with the waist and chest joint together, he can tilt backwards that far, so that's really good. Can crunch forward only about that far, so not the best crunch forward, but he can turn at the chest here, and it's kind of a ratchety turn, sort of a ratcheting at the chest. Can tilt side to side a little bit, and then of course there's the waist joint in there too that lets him tilt side to side even more. So he's got pretty good articulation so far. Can twist at the waist as well. Now there's been a lot of criticism, of course, with these McFarlane figures having a diaper of sorts right? This one it works fine because Superman, or Superboy in this case, is meant to be wearing trunks there, so no problems with that there. So for the legs, they can go forward about straight out. You can see that does start to bend the trunk piece quite a bit, and can go back a little bit, but then you start to get some gapping there, so that could be an issue. This is a real soft rubber piece. If you move the leg too far, it can kind of pop out of there. They can go out all the way there, so you can do pretty much full splits, so that's good. And swivel just barely a little bit at the hip. So the knees, double knee, so that's pretty good. And the hoses there don't really seem to be getting in the way of much of anything. That's really way too far forward on the knee there. So his knee has to be bent a little bit if you put it straight out. Now he's kind of has a very strange looking leg there, so bend the knee a little bit. Doesn't swivel at the boots. The feet, he does have toes, so his toes can go up there. Otherwise, they don't really go up much at all. Don't really go down much at all. They swivel in a little bit and out a little bit. So this guy has pretty good articulation, especially compared to some of the others I've seen lately. Feet are probably the worst part on him here. He's still having a little bit of trouble standing up, but I'm starting to believe that that's more my tablecloth than it is the figures. But anyway, let's see what he comes with. So one thing I don't like about the modern McFarlane figures here is that their stands and their trading cards all come carded. So you actually do have to do some destruction of the packaging to get those accessories out. I thought, judging by Marvel Legends and other things, Star Wars Black Series, other things like that, I thought we were kind of past the point now of destructive packaging. We want to be able to open our figures but then get everything back in nicely. However, this figure, since he came with the flight stand, I did want to take that off of the card and take a look at it. So for accessories, he comes with his trading card here. Just picture the figure, same picture that was on the back of the box, and then a read up on him there, of course, alternate reality version of Superman. Right? But then the cool thing he comes with is the flight stand here. So if you can see it, it says DC on there, and then we've got this piece. So we'll try to assemble that and see if we can get him in some flying poses here. And this might be pretty neat. So that just slides in like that. Does it clip in here? There it goes. Alright, so there's our flight stand, and then we've got this piece that opens up and will fit around his waist here. So let's try this out. To open it a little wider, I think. I've not had one of these before, so this is my first time checking this out. I think some of the other figures come with one of these as well. Alright, so there we go. There's Superboy-Prime on the flight stand. So that seems pretty good. That seems to be holding him there, so we can get some good flying poses. Unfortunately, like I said, he can't really look up very much to do any, really good flying poses here, but I'm sure we can get something good going on with him there. Unfortunately, that's all the accessories he comes with. He doesn't come with any fists, which would be nice, so that he could, punch the walls of reality, right, as we know he is wont to do. Anyway, though, let's have some size comparisons next. Okay, before we get to size comparisons, I will point out that this figure does have the McFarlane side eye. I didn't look close enough at first to notice that, but once I took a closer look, I saw it there. So be wary of that. He does have the side eye, as many of the McFarlane DC figures do. But for size comparisons, here he is with Marvel Legends Wen-Wu. So obviously he's quite a bit bigger than that. As you know, the McFarlane toys are not in the same scale. They're more in the 7-inch scale compared to the Marvel Legends 6-inch scale. So speaking of DC ones, here he is with the McFarlane Birds of Prey Harley Quinn. So they look, pretty decent in scale with each other. He's a little bit taller than her, and she does have the roller skates on too. So this guy's a pretty big figure. Will, be impressive and imposing on your shelf. Here he is with a standard 12-ounce beverage can. And then, of course, here he is with John Cena. So this is the only figure I've reviewed, I think, in quite some time that's, bigger than John Cena there. So he's actually a little bit taller than John Cena. Like I said, the wrestling figures seem to me to be about in the, size range scale range between the Marvel Legends and the DC Multiverse ones. Alright, so that's it for McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Superboy-Prime. So I think he's pretty cool looking figure. I just wish that he came with some fists. I think that would really make it better. That way, he can retcon punch your favorite dead character back into continuity, right? But anyway, if you can find him for very deep clearance like I did, go ahead and pick him up. I think you'll find that he looks pretty good. All right, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next review.